And I remember we ordered 1,200 bottles.
Okay.
And I just remember thinking, why did we do this?
Yeah.
I think we sold out in 3 weeks.
Wow.
What's up, everybody? My name is Adam, and I'm the host of the UKnowAdamTsang podcast, the show that is dedicated on bringing on passionate people, learning about their stories, and delivering value to entrepreneurs. So if that's what you're interested in, go ahead and follow, like, and subscribe. You know what I'm saying?
How's it going, guys? Welcome back to another episode of the UKnowAdamTsang podcast, where you get to know just a little bit more about people, passions, and all things business. Today, sitting across the way, have Ben Ross of Forest Heights, ID6, KID6, and much, much more. Ben, welcome to the show.
Absolutely. I appreciate you having me today.
I'm super excited. You know, came across your name, voted as the most fabulous man in Statesboro, Georgia, from the magazine. And I wanted to just bring you onto the show and hear a little bit more about kind of like your story.
Yeah, no, I'm excited to tell it.
Awesome. So let's just start off kind of like, you know, with your current things that you are involved with.
Yeah.
So I know that Forest Heights Pharmacy is at the core of what it is that you do.
Absolutely.
And Forest Heights, when did you start Forest Heights?
Yeah, so Forest Heights was opened September 11th, 2006 by Joel Sykes. And I was actually still in pharmacy school. And Mr. Joel, he had kidney cancer. Mm-hmm. So while I was in school, he basically gave me the opportunity as soon as I graduated to basically buy him out. So in June of 2008.
As soon as you graduated?
As soon as I graduated. I took my last pharmacy board on a Thursday. I got married on a Saturday, went on a honeymoon, and we were in Statesboro that following week.
Bang.
That's right. And I can remember when I got, so I took my boards, and I was working at the pharmacy. I wasn't a pharmacist yet. I was waiting to hear back. And I had a really kind of a fill-in pharmacist till I passed. And I got a call from the Board of Pharmacy in the middle of the day. They're like, "Hey, you passed. Here's your license." And the other pharmacist was like, "All right, does that mean I can leave? I'm out of here." And it was my show to run the rest of the way. So it's been a journey.
Yeah,
it's been awesome.
So talk to me a little bit about that. Why do you think you said Joel?
Joel Sykes.
Why did he identify you as the person?
Yeah, so I've known Mr. Joel for a long time. My dad was a pharmacist, and he had a pharmacy in Savannah, Georgia. I grew up in Savannah, Georgia, in my dad's pharmacy. And Mr. Joel and Dad had known each other. Mr. Joel worked at our pharmacy in Savannah, and my dad and Mr. Joel were partners in that store. Dad worked in Savannah, Mr. Joel worked in Statesboro. And I actually wasn't their first pick. They'd kind of offered it to a couple other people. I mean, again, I was still in school.
Yeah. So you weren't
right. They'd been crazy for me to be the first pick. Right. I was just the only one dumb enough to say yes. It was a new store, and it was really struggling.
Was it?
It was. Mr. Joel basically got sick the day they opened.
Wow.
And so in independent pharmacy, it's really about those personal relationships. We don't have the big name. We don't have the big marketing budget. So it's about the relationships with that pharmacy patient relationship. So when Mr. Joel got sick, they were scrambling. They had to find fill-in I mean, before I got there, every day of the week was a different fill-in pharmacist. And that just doesn't work.
Yeah.
So when I got there, it was pretty rough.
Yeah.
I used to joke from 12 to 2. I used to joke that I'd get a 2-hour lunch break.
Yeah. Because
the phone didn't ring, nobody came in. I mean, it was just dead. And now the phone never stops ringing. So Mr. Joel, I knew him. He made me, an offer to come to Statesboro. And like I said, I think I was just young and dumb enough I didn't even look at the financials.
You didn't?
No.
I
was like,
idea.
Sure, that sounds great. I need a job. I'm about to graduate. I need a job. That's perfect.
Was that something that you always had on your agenda to kind of like eventually get into?
It's something I always wanted to do. Again, I grew up in my dad's pharmacy, so independent pharmacy was always a part of my life. But I didn't want to go right back to my hometown and dad's store. I kind of wanted to go out and work somewhere else with the idea that I'd probably end up there.
Sure.
But then when this opportunity came, it was terrible circumstances with Mr. Joel.
Sure.
But it was an incredible opportunity.
Yeah.
Because most people don't get offered that right out of pharmacy school.
Sure. So there's actually two questions that I want to kind of like touch on with the stuff that you said. One of them is like, what type of impact did growing up in a pharmacy like have on you eventually going to the business, right? So I connect with that because, I grew up in a restaurant.
Yeah.
And so now kind of like, being able to see, the work that my parents put in order to create something,
Yeah.
I carry that with me every
Right.
single day that I work now.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Dad, he was always getting called up to the pharmacy all hours of the night. Being from Sylvania, there's not a 24-hour pharmacy. There's not a whole lot. It's a lot smaller, local, and so I really got to see him serve in that capacity. And I knew I always kind of wanted to be. I'm not going to say I always knew I was going to be a pharmacist because part of it was everybody kind of expected me. Oh, you're gonna come back and take over the pharmacy. So being a hard-headed kid, you kind of buck that. I don't know about that.
Sure.
And then, of course, I get a little older, a little while. It's not a bad gig.
Sure.
So I mean, certainly, it's been awesome to follow in my dad's footsteps and continue that legacy, and I just really enjoy it.
I love that.
Yeah.
The second point I wanted to touch on was you mentioned something that you called independent pharmacy.
Right.
And that is different than, the pharmacies that are out at, the standard Walgreens, so
Right.
forth and so on.
Yep.
Talk to me about the difference between the two.
Yeah, no, and there's huge differences,
Okay.
and a lot of times people don't understand it. So independent pharmacy, that means that we're not the big mega chains, all right. We're not the CVS's, we're not the Walgreens. We're locally owned. We're part of the community. We don't have a different pharmacist sliding in,
Sure.
on a regular basis. It's a lot more personal.
Sure.
We don't have to get anything approved by corporate.
Okay.
So if we see something that needs changing that can benefit our patients, then we're going to do it. And that's one of the reasons why I wanted to go that route. So that if we do come up with some kind of innovation that I don't have to get it approved, I can just we can act on it, and if it helps our customers, we're going to do it.
Yeah, absolutely. And we're going to get to that because
Yep.
I know that you are definitely an innovator within kind of like that realm. Talk to me about kind of like, when you initially started, because, as an entrepreneur, as a business person, oftentimes you step into situations that, aren't the best where like, hey, like the store is struggling.
Yeah.
How were you able to overcome that? How are you able to put in like, what did you do that kind of like changed the formula and made Forest Heights what it is today?
I think the big thing was consistency. So like I told you before, every day was a different pharmacist. When I got there, I mean, I pretty much worked every day.
Every day.
Right. Every
Talk
day.
to me about hours. What were we looking at?
So we were open, Monday through Friday, 8:30 to 6:30,
Wow.
and then Saturday 9 to 1. That's just our standard open hours. And I did have back then. I had a pharmacist that would work one Saturday a month, and then he would come in, I think one day a week. But I would still come in on those days. So it wasn't. I'm not trying to say that I pulled every hour, but still, just having somebody consistently there. And when I got there, we had one full-time 40-hour week pharmacy technician,
Okay.
and we had two college girls that would kind of split the day. One of them would come in around 2:00, and that was it.
Yeah.
So I literally had one full-time employee and two part-time employees.
And you were just covering everything.
And that's all we needed. It was
Sure.
slow. It was struggling. And now, we're over 35 employees at that one location.
Wow.
Yeah. But it didn't happen overnight.
Sure.
And so it's just consistency and hard work. And again, the idea or the culture of we're going to take care of our community, and we're going to, our patients are our family, and so really just instilling that into the pharmacy. Not that it wasn't already, that wasn't Mr. Joel's goal, but when he got sick,
It's hard.
It's hard.
Yeah.
So I'm not from Statesboro.
That's another challenge that I wanted to ask you about.
It is a challenge, and and I didn't know many people from Statesboro, so it took time, and it wasn't like I got here in 2008 and 2009 we were booming.
Yeah.
It was a struggle.
How many years would you say?
It was at least a good 3 years before I felt like we were even breaking even. And so that's one thing now is you know, a lot of people see where we are today and just think, man, that's how it's always been.
Sure.
But no, it was way different.
Yeah. What, you know, when you talk about these connections that you built with the community, and especially as a, you know, quote unquote outsider, I know that back in the day it's even harder than it is now. I think Statesboro is starting to change a little bit, right? We're starting to open up a little bit more.
Yep.
But back in the day, it was very like, hey, like if you're not from Statesboro, you're considered like, you know, outside of this area. And so like, you know, what did you do to kind of like build those connections? Were you like, you know?
Yeah, and I will say, even though I guess I wasn't outside, I never really felt like people treated me in any bad way. I don't mean anything like that. But, you know, I didn't have 20 cousins that would automatically use my pharmacy just because they're my family.
Okay.
Or hey, he coached me Little League. He'll come.
Sure,
You know,
sure.
you just don't have those connections that you can pull people to your business. Are going to give you the benefit of the doubt.
Yeah.
So I mean, you know, we got involved in the community.
Sure.
Obviously, we at the time we didn't have kids, but certainly, you know, as we started having kids, you get involved with that. We get involved with the local church. Get involved. I'm in Rotary, so getting involved with civic organizations, and yeah, just building relationships with people over time. I mean, it doesn't happen overnight.
That's right. That's awesome. So let's talk a little bit about, let's continue down this pharmacy route. And I see that you've partnered with quite a few other pharmacies as well in the area.
So yeah, and so my dad had a pharmacy in Savannah, Georgia. In 2017, he retired, and so that was the first. That was, I guess, the first one, additional one, but the second location. And then in 2018 there was 2 more. So it was really a good 9 years before we started to expand into to other you know, areas and pharmacies. But you know, my model has always been, you know, I want to find just a hungry, passionate, you know, pharmacist that's good with people, and you know, let me find that individual. We can find them a pharmacy.
Yeah.
And then partner with them, and then put them in a place where they can be successful and succeed, and grow that way. Because pharmacies, I mean, it's tough to get into a pharmacy by yourself. Typically, especially, you know, younger people coming out of pharmacy school, they've got a lot of student debt.
Sure.
You know, it's not like they've been working, so they don't have, you know, any kind of big savings to, you know, put down. And you know, banks, they're not crazy about just going out and lending tons of money to people who you know, don't have a job history.
Sure.
So it's great to kind of have them come work for me. So I guess I just kind of give you a general overlay. There's 8 locations now, or 8 that I'm a part. I'm a partner in 8 stores.
Wow.
And all but one of them, the pharmacist in charge, and it's called a PIC. Every pharmacy has to have a PIC, a pharmacist in charge, has worked at Forest Heights Pharmacy.
So this is like the headquarters.
Yeah, you can call it
training
that.
grounds,
yeah,
right?
You can call it that. In some fashion, you know, and then now they are an owner and a partner, and they're kind of running that store. And I'm really pretty hands off on the other locations. 99% of my time is spent at Forest Heights Pharmacy and in Statesboro. And of course, you know, we talk on, you know, we're texting each other all the time, right?
Sure.
And we have owners calls and meetings and stuff.
Super cool.
Where we're trying, you know, just always bouncing ideas off each other and trying to learn from one another. And help each other out is the big thing.
And how did that come about, right? Like, so I don't know, and I'm very unfamiliar with the pharmaceutical industry.
Yep.
But is that typical of like a pharmacy where they start like launching these other brands with people, or is that
you see pharmacy owners that do buy other stores, and it's unfortunate because especially now, like the example I was just giving you, it's harder for people that aren't in ownership to buy a pharmacy, just because of the reasons that, you know, I kind of listed. And it's you know, it's very difficult. I mean, you're dealing with the DEA, you're dealing with, you know, the GDNA, Georgia Drug and Narcotics, insurance companies, and your contracts. I mean, there's just so many, you know, T's to cross and I's to dot.
Was it like that when you first came out?
Yeah, you know, and it was.
Always
yeah,
been
it's
there.
always kind of been like, so it's always, I mean, most people, you know, if and we don't get any kind of training like that in pharmacy school, right?
No?
It's
What do they teach you about?
So it's all about the drugs, right? And
Sure.
the body and the health, and the very, very little business.
Okay.
And certainly not, how do you get an insurance contract from Humana or whoever?
Sure.
Or how do you get, pass a DEA inspection?
Yeah.
So, so it's just very intimidating for
Sure.
somebody that's not in that. And so that's one way that that one thing that we can offer, or that I can offer. Hey,
Expertise within
right?
that realm.
We can get it started, and just putting that individual in a give them a chance to succeed.
I hear innovation, right? Like I
Yeah.
hear the strategy that you're taking is you're taking your knowledge base and
Yeah.
seeing the opportunity,
Right.
and also. I love the fact that you mentioned that finding someone hungry,
Yeah.
right? Because that is at the end of the day is how you grow. We can't
Right.
grow. There's a
Right.
limit to the amount of stuff that we can do.
Absolutely.
But the moment that you start partnering with these hungry individuals that want to go out there, want to achieve,
Yeah.
that's when really some expansion can really
Right.
happen. Talk to me a little bit about some of the other innovative things that you have done within your industry.
Sure, absolutely. So we did create a immune boosting supplement. Me and two other pharmacists, Pete Nagel, who he's a partner in 5 pharmacies with me,
Okay.
and then Bryce Alfred, he's a partner in 2 of the pharmacies with me.
Okay.
Pete, let's see, Pete came to work with me. He just graduated college. He was wanting to go to PA school, but he just needed to work somewhere for around a year, so he got a job at the pharmacy. Really, really bright guy. Got a just great loves people,
Mm-hmm.
loves pharmacy, and I was like, you got to go to pharmacy school.
Uh-huh.
And so, but I bought a pharmacy with him before he even started pharmacy school. He's kind of the outlier in that.
So he what was he like a high school student at this point? What?
He was just graduated college.
Okay.
And worked for me for about a year.
Oh.
So he was probably
What was his background?
he played baseball. He played college baseball and graduated. I don't even know what his degree was, but he was
Yeah.
wanting to go to PA school. It was some kind of science based.
Yeah.
But and I talked him into going to pharmacy school, and before he started, a store came open in Midway, Georgia, which is right outside Hinesville, and he was going to go to school in Savannah, so it was kind of right there for him, and we had another pharmacist who is a partner now, and he's actually in ownership with two stores with us.
Uh-huh.
That one, the Midway location, and our Savannah location, but yeah, so Pete. He owned a pharmacy before he even started pharmacy school.
That's awesome.
So that was pretty cool. And now he owns, at the present time, he's a partner in 5 of them.
Yeah. So he actually was also part of the ID6 project.
Yes, I'm sorry. Yeah, I guess.
No,
yes,
you're good.
Yeah, I'm getting off topic, but yes. So he was part of ID6.
Mm-hmm.
Bryce was part of ID6, and this was back, April of 2020. When COVID had really just started.
Sure.
And we started seeing prescriptions written by doctors for all these different supplements that they needed to take to help boost the immune system for COVID. And I can just remember, thinking, man, this is crazy. Why am I selling somebody 5 bottles of vitamins?
As opposed to...
Surely, let's find something that has it all in one. And we couldn't ever, come up with it. Or we couldn't ever find one.
Sure.
So we put our heads together, let's make our own.
Sure.
And so we did. We got a manufacturer. We come up with a formula. We worked on it, and sure enough, we get a product in September of 2020. I mean, it took a while, but September of 2020. From I think we first started in April, but the end of September, we got a bottle in hand.
Yeah.
And I remember we ordered 1,200 bottles.
Okay.
And I just remember thinking, why did we do this?
What does that inventory look like? Is it stacked up?
Yeah, it was in boxes, and just to give you kind of 1,200. I mean, that might not sound like a lot, but
Sure.
I probably hadn't sold 1,200 bottles of Tylenol in 5 years. That's just it's a lot.
It's a lot.
And
Yeah.
I was just thinking, why did we? This was dumb.
Yeah.
I think we sold out in 3 weeks.
Wow. How'd that feel?
It was incredible.
Yeah.
I mean, because we knew we had a good product, but that's not always, you got to have a good product.
Yeah.
But you got to get it out there.
That's right.
And it was crazy, and we really need our tails kicked because we've done very, very little marketing
For this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, our budget on it, I bet we spent less than $1,500.
Wow.
And it might be less than 1,000.
Sure.
And we've sold over 30,000 bottles.
Wow.
We've sold it to over 150 independent pharmacies. We only want to sell it to independent pharmacies. We do have a website, www.id-6.com, and we sell it on our website. I think we've sold it to, I don't know how, I can't keep up with it now, but at least 40 different states. We have pharmacies in, and it's all been pretty much word of mouth. Social media, but we've done very little boosting of social media.
Yeah.
We have got a couple of interns from Georgia Southern, and they've kind of worked with us, but it's pretty much just been organic word of mouth, and it's been pretty wild.
Why do you think that product has been able to do that? Because oftentimes when you have a product, it takes time to kind of like grow.
Absolutely.
Right?
Well, when COVID happened, obviously that drove up demand.
Of course.
And so the timing of it worked out.
Sure.
And there's not a whole lot of products out there like that.
Sure.
And especially we got an adult one, ID6, and then we got a children's chewable one, which is we call it Kid 6, but it's the KID6.
Love that.
And there's just not a lot of that on the market now. And people love it.
Sure.
And that's the big thing is because most people, you can get something to sell once, right?
Sure.
If I'm a good salesman, I can sell you something once.
Sure.
But eventually it's got to be a good product or you're not going to keep buying it.
Sure.
And that's what's been so awesome to see is that obviously we believe in it, but the people that take it, they love it.
Yeah.
And I mean, we could have thousands of testimonies from people just talking about how much benefit they get from it.
Yeah.
So at the end of the day, it's a good product.
Let's talk about what it is. So, I heard earlier on when we were going through kind of like the journey of it was, COVID, there was doctors that were prescribing all of these different supplements. It's all contained into one.
Correct. Yeah. So we ID6, so Immune Defense 6.
Okay.
So it's got 6 of the top supplements that they recommend you take. So it's got the zinc, the vitamin C, the vitamin D3. It's got 2 active forms of vitamin B that helps your body recover. And then it's got N-acetylcysteine, which is an antioxidant and kind of promotes respiratory function. And then we have elderberry in there as well.
Okay. And with this product, what are we supposed to take it on a daily basis?
Correct. Yeah. So it's a daily supplement, and all six of those supplements have shown to basically increase immunity and help with immunity. So it's a daily supplement. It's not any kind of treatment for COVID. We certainly don't want to say that. And it's not a treatment for COVID. Now we were seeing prescriptions written by doctors, for some, not that 6 combination, but we would see zinc and vitamin C and vitamin D3 that doctors would write for patients that were getting COVID. And again, that's what kind of, I guess, turned the light bulb on for us. Hey, we need to put these all in one. And yeah, so I mean, it's.
How soon after did KID?
We made them at the same time.
At the same time,
yeah.
Okay.
And I really and so the adult ID6 is by far the more popular one.
Mm-hmm.
But when we first ordered it, I really thought the kid one would probably, just because me and you, if we know we need to take these 6 supplements, we'll do it.
Yeah.
Right. But a kid, whether they think it or not, they're not going to take 6 vitamins, right?
Sure.
So and the kid one's done well, but definitely the adult one. I mean, we've probably sold 5 times more of the adult one than the kid one.
I'm fascinated this because, I hear innovation. I think the opportunity was in here that, instead of taking the 6 pills, you could take one.
Mm-hmm.
But can you take me back to those moments of like when the idea kind of like first formulated?
Yeah.
Because I think, there's a lot of ideas out there. Entrepreneurs are always,
Right.
have like, oh, I have this great idea. I have the next big thing, so forth and
Right.
so on. But then what's different about this story is that you guys executed, like you
Right.
guys killed it. So walk me through that.
Sure. And, so at Forest Heights Pharmacy, we're the only pharmacy in Statesboro that does compounding. And so what compounding is where we have a lab, and we make our own medications.
Okay.
So whether that's bioidentical hormones, we do a lot of dermatology, vet products.
Wow.
So, I guess I'm always looking to give me a problem.
Sure.
And then let me see if I can come up with a solution for it.
Sure.
So, and that's what compounding is. You're making personalized medicines that fit a specific need for a patient.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm always looking, man, what could we do in our compounding lab? So, but we really saw this as, man, this is bigger than just a compounding pharmacy in Statesboro. This is something that we're needing everywhere.
Sure.
So yeah, I mean that mindset of and I think that's just a mindset of any entrepreneur is, what's the problem? Let's find a solution for it, and then yeah, let's make it happen.
Yeah.
Because we can talk about it all day,
That's right.
but we got to make it happen, and that's really Bryce. He was kind of he had the manufacturer, and that was kind of his. He really worked on that. Pete worked hard on the formula, and certainly those guys deserve all the credit. So they, and we just made it happen.
I love that.
At the end of the day, you can talk's great, but you got to make it happen.
Talk to me about this compounding. Was that something that Forest Heights had just all along?
No. So that was something that I kind of. So I got there in 2008, and we've added a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Immunizations. They weren't doing any immunizations, but compounding is something that I was always interested in school and had a little exposure to it. And remember, in 2008, we were dead. I mean, like I had plenty of time on my hands, so I was like, you know what, I'm
explore options. Yeah,
I'm gonna do this. And so I went to PCCA, which is Professional Compounding Centers of America, out in Houston, Texas. Went through some courses out there, and we dove in head first. And so that's something that we've been working on for a while, and it's to me it's just an awesome an avenue of like I said, when you have a patient that comes to you, and one of my favorite stories is there was a little girl that was on chemo, and she was having to chew up 8. I think it was dexamethasone tablets.
Mm-hmm.
I don't care if you have to chew up a tablet, it's terrible.
Mm-hmm.
And she would gag, and and sometimes she would gaggle in, sometimes she wouldn't, and it was just terrible. And I was talking with the mom, and I was like, I could probably compound that for her into a solution where it doesn't taste bad. And she's like, oh, you don't understand how great that would be. And we did. We made it. We put it in a syringe. We flavored. I think it was orange sherbet or something. And Mom took it home, and she called me up just almost in tears. How the little girl took it, and she was like blown away, and she was wanting to go ahead and take next week because she liked it so much. And she's like, you don't know what a blessing this is.
That's awesome.
That's incredible. I mean, that's what it's about.
Yeah.
That's what we do. Why we do what we do, right?
Yeah.
So just stuff like that. Just that's what I'm passionate about.
Mm-hmm.
I want to help people. I want to, and when I can go and do something like that, I'm done. I can go home now, right?
Love that.
Yeah. So.
Love that. In here, I think there's also a very important thing to discuss, which is like the team that's around you.
Absolutely.
Talk to me about how important that is for you.
Oh, it's huge. And we can only do what we do because of our team. I have, in my opinion, I have the best team in all of Georgia. We have been recognized for, and I hate individual awards, and it's unfortunate. Me as the owner, you said it, man of the year. I get all the credit, and it's not fair because my team, man, the sacrifices that they make, the work that they put in, they buy into it as well. They buy into the culture and the vision of, hey, we're going to do what it takes to take care of our people, and we're going to change. We might do it one way today, but if we find a better way, we're going to do it. We're not going to be opposed to change. And that's a big concept with us, is that we're always looking to improve. I used to always talk, when I would talk to my staff, I would always tell them, hey, the way we do business today is not the way we did business 3 years ago, and the way we do business 3 years from now will not be how we do it today. And I joke, because now that ever since COVID happened, forget 3 years, 3 months, right? I mean, stuff just changed. 3 weeks, stuff just changes. So my team, they're incredible, and they're on board. And when COVID happened, I told them, I was like, listen, I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know what this thing's going to do. I don't know. It was scary times, right? None of us knew, hey, is this thing going to kill us all? We don't know. And there were a lot of businesses that, even healthcare businesses that, they kind of stood back, and they didn't, I wanted to do everything we could. Yeah. Anything we could do, we're going to do. Yeah. And as the owner, of course I want to be that way. But man, my staff, they were right behind me. Yeah. They never wavered. They never complained. That they wanted to do everything as well. And again, we wouldn't have been able to do anything if it wasn't for our team.
Love that. Teamwork makes the dream work.
That's right.
Love it. This show is for entrepreneurs. Yep. So, if you have some, maybe they're in the pharmacy route, or maybe they're not. I wouldn't have imagined there to be this much innovation coming from the pharmacy side, because typically when you think pharmacy is okay, well, let's just distribute, be sure that we're distributing. But I love the fact that you've taken something that's as rigid as pharmacy and just turned it into something that has innovation in it. I absolutely love that. But if you had a word of advice for either entrepreneurs or somebody that's in the pharmacy realm, what would that be?
Well, you got to be passionate, right? You got to be passionate about whatever you're trying to do. You have to be passionate about it, And maybe I'm a little dorky, but I'm passionate about pharmacy. I am. I love pharmacy. I love independent pharmacy. I love the mom and pop, small business. I'm passionate about that. Yeah. And to be successful, I feel like you have to be passionate about what you do. So that's a big thing for me. I always tell people, man, you got to be passionate about it. You got to love what you do.
Ben, I can see the passion in everything in our entire conversation, and how much you love every day that you get to do this, right? And so I wanted to thank you so much, because that passion is honestly inspirational. I love the way that you're leading your teams. I love the fact that the way that you're kind of innovating within the space that you're in. And I'm so excited about the future. What does that hold?
Man, when I set out, when I came to Statesboro, I never thought, okay, I want to own multiple pharmacies. So again, it's all about those relationships, right? And building up other leaders, and if that leads me down a road of owning, partnering in more pharmacies, then that's great. But we want to be the best pharmacists we can be. We want to be the best husbands, best fathers, mothers. That's my thing is, man, we want to serve our community, and I want people. I want to raise up leaders that are just really just pillars of their community, and even my team. I mean, we all want that. I want the best delivery drivers, right? I want the best pharmacy techs. I want the best pharmacists, and I want to put them in a position where they feel like they can achieve that.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thank you for your time, and I appreciate you coming on to this show.
Absolutely. No, I appreciate it.
And that's a wrap.
Yep. Thanks a lot.
Cool, man.